everybody, I'm Danny Otto. Welcome into an all-new episode of That Recap Show. Now, before we get into the episode, just wanted to issue major spoiler alert. We are going to be going over the season finale of the Ahsoka series. So if you haven't seen that episode yet, you may want to pause this video, head over to Disneyplus, check that out, and then come back and enjoy the breakdown. Now, with that out of the way, let's start the show.
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.
What you guys don't know is I'm always doing a dance during the theme song thing, and I'm always looking at myself in the little camera thing, and so then I stop right before it does. So that's why I always have a weird look on my face. Anyway, joining with me to break down everything from the season finale of the Ahsoka series, it's Jon Rico.
Hi, hey,
Hi.
Hello. All right.
I just had that thought because I'm just sitting here dancing to the theme music, and no one else sees this, and then I just have this weird look on my face every time it stops.
All right, cool.
Anyway,
I didn't even know that, so that's nice.
I know you can't see the little thing. I can see you the entire time too. I can see both of our little camera things.
Weird.
Anyway, so the season finale of Ahsoka, and I'm saying season finale because there are so many questions that need to be brought up in another season. So there's no way that this is the series finale. Let's just get that thinking out of the way immediately. Because there's so much stuff to go over and so many things that they've been that have been set up for something moving forward. But anyway, I have to officially say this, and I am so excited that we are in the month of October and I get to say this. Zombie stormtroopers. We got zombie stormtroopers. And not only that, it actually kind of felt kind of like a Star Wars zombie movie for a split second. It was not very long. But to me, it was like a modded version of Call of Duty, the zombies map type of thing. Because I've seen some that have been modded to have zombie stormtroopers and they're Star Wars themed and stuff like that. I got everything I wanted in that one little spot. We can have no more. I don't care if we get any more zombie stormtroopers. But we officially had zombie stormtroopers, and I was super happy. Big thing checked off my list for the universe of Star Wars.
There you go.
But yeah, I mean, there's so many things I want to talk about with the season finale. But before I get ahead of myself, Rico, what were some of your instant reactions to the season finale?
Yeah, this was a pretty interesting finale. It was a lot of fun for sure. We had a big basic action set piece basically for a finale, which is kind of a common thing that we've been seeing in Marvel and Star Wars shows, I think, on Disneyplus. So that was part of it where I was kind of like, okay, there's a little bit left to be desired in some aspects, but the stuff that we did get was a bunch of really fun moments, right? Of course, seeing the Great Mothers raise the Night Troopers from the dead was really cool. Kind of see the whole green magic side of them, because every time we've seen them, it's been those little spheres with the little lasers on them.
Yep.
But Nightsisters are generally known for this kind of green looking magic, and we got to see it on full display here in this episode. The episode kicks off in an awesome way with them turning Morgan into a Great Mother, essentially, which was a really cool kind of scene in and of itself. I'm like, okay, this is a nice little way to start us off here. And then that also leads into her having her little moment later on in the episode as well. But yeah, there's a lot that happens. There's a lot of cool stuff that happens that you're like, oh dang, they actually did that. And then there's also what happened to these people, and why when we get more of them, and what's gonna happen with this later on. And so yeah, I like that we got a little wrap up to the main story involving Thrawn and Ahsoka and all of them. But then also wishing we could have gotten more with some other characters as well.
Yeah. The thing I did like about this episode, I mean, there's a lot of things that I did and just like you said, there was a lot of moments that were really cool.
Yeah.
Was with that whole thing where they were turning Morgan into a Night Sister. For a split second, I was like, is she just gonna are they gonna just like offer like type of thing, like, you know, like bring her in really close and then like stab her as a sacrifice, or like something weird, like, you know what I mean? Like it was a very edgy, like not edgy scene, but like it had a lot of suspense, I guess, scene
Right.
where like everything was happening really slow, and even on like the look on Morgan's face as she's like walking over, it almost seems like she doesn't know what's gonna happen. Like, are they gonna like fake her out or do something? So I really liked that whole moment. So I was like sitting there, I'm going, shit, is she about to die? Like, what's about to happen? And of course, yes, they did. You know, they turned her into a Night Sister, and you know, we get a cool wrap up with her further down the line in this episode. But
Yeah, the Blade of Talzin, which is really cool.
yeah, I was gonna ask you about that too. That was awesome.
I had to be a reference to Mother Talzin from Clone Wars, I'd imagine. So I was just like, "Ooh, cool!" And that's a little nod to an old character that was known for bringing like Maul back to what he ended up becoming. So I was like, "Okay, nice." So that's a nice little tie-in. A cool looking blade too. So I'm like, "What they?
Yeah.
We can not just selling lightsabers. You can sell a cool blade like that too. Like imagine what you can do now with that stuff."
And it was her undoing. Anyway, before we get too far, you want to get to some big takeaways?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. All right. I'm going to kick us off with big takeaways. And it was just a thought. Like, it's not even the biggest takeaway. There were so many things that we could have, you know, pinpointed in this episode as really cool kind of things. I mean, I have one that I really thought of. Another one, just as we were thinking of stuff, was seeing the really cool force abilities of Ezra and Sabine working together type of thing to push him across that entire gap. That was awesome to see. And that was just like a moment that I was like, holy shit, that was awesome. But one thought that I had throughout this entire episode was the fact that Thrawn knows Ahsoka's master is Anakin. It seems like he's really caught up on that fact. He's mentions it multiple times, and then he even at the very, very end mentions it to Ahsoka. Like, he mentions it in a matter of fact way, almost saying like, that was your undoing. I knew how to be a step ahead of you because I knew, you know, I knew how he would react to this stuff, so I knew how you would react. But throughout the episode, it almost seemed like he was overcompensating because of this fact. It almost seemed like he was afraid of Ahsoka in a certain sense because he knew she had trained under Anakin. Like, he didn't want to, he wasn't just like solving like, oh, we can get out of here real quick type of thing. It was every step of the way he was like overcompensating. Like, no, we have to send this many people. No, we have to make sure that this is blocked off. No, we have to do that. So it, in a sense, to me at least, it almost seemed like he was, you know, afraid like of Ahsoka. Like, not in a like I'm scared of her, but like in a way of I'm going to make sure I not only, you know, solve it for a Jedi, but I overcompensate it. I overcomplicate it because I'm worried about what her skill level is, type of thing. Like, that's what it kind of, it seemed like to me. Like, he obviously he wasn't showing a sense of fear, but he was just showing this very over the top strategy at every turn to make sure that he held off Ahsoka so he could leave. You know what I mean? Like, did you kind of get that sense too?
Yeah, I didn't get the sense he was afraid. I think it all goes into his tactical mind, is that he has an immense respect for the level of power that Anakin had, and as well that knowing that again Anakin became Vader, he knows that like that's a one determined person right there. He knows that that's gonna be something that's gonna be passed down to his apprentice. So everything that he did was all like it, like again, it was very measured. He was setting specific numbers out. He's doing everything just to deter the time and allow them enough time to escape, and end up cutting it just close, right? Because they get right up to the ship and then boom, takes off. So yeah, I thought that was an interesting kind of dynamic. I think it was a great way of displaying him as a villain, because you needed him to actually come out on top of this, to actually like really sell him as what he's being hyped up as.
Yeah, I mean, this was basically. I mean, I don't want to overcomplicate things by bringing an MCU reference again, but this is basically our Infinity War. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the bad guy won. Bad guy won. Now we have to see how the good guys are going to retaliate, like regroup and retaliate type of thing in our next kind of project, basically. But anyway, what were some of your takeaways from the season finale?
Yeah, so I want to talk about the first. I want to talk about the rematch between Ahsoka and Morgan, which I thought was really cool. I think the way we first met Ahsoka in a live action in The Mandalorian was her having this amazing fight with Morgan when Morgan was wielding the Beskar spear.
Mhm.
So one shout out to Diana Lee Inosanto who played Morgan Elsbeth because she really killed it in this season, and she's also the goddaughter of Bruce Lee. So it's
Oh
actually a
wow.
really cool way of kind of seeing like her display of her martial arts ability and the way she kicked ass in those fighting scenes, by the way. So like kind of getting to see her in this scene against Ahsoka, kind of having like a way more entertaining fight than their first fight, and their first fight was awesome. For them to actually be able to kind of like amp that up from the first one and actually have like a nice definitive ending for her character, it's just like mwah, bravo. I thought like her whole character arc was really well done. And then another thing I really liked was getting to see Ezra build his new lightsaber in the
Yeah.
beginning of the episodes and kind of seeing him scatter all of Huyang stuff. But um, kind of the cool thing about the episode is one, he gets to learn a little bit more about his master through Huyang because Huyang knew him when he was a younger kid. So I thought that's kind of a cool dynamic, and I would like to see more of that. Those two characters interacting, kind of get more stories about Kanan. And also now he's got a blue lightsaber blade, just like Kanan too. So I think that's really cool. It's kind of like almost feel like when you're a Jedi like master or at least when you're a really well trained Jedi, you just evolve to the blue blade at some point. Like, but yeah, I think that was really cool. And then of course, like the big kind of full circle moment for Sabine is her finally getting to use the Force in pretty big ways. So we kind of get little teases leading up to a big moment where they're riding through the bomb the hellfire that as Thrawn said as they're riding through to get into the fortress. Um, so like Sabine help, and you can see she's holding her hand out, but there's no real like showing her actually having an effect there. And then of course it happens in that big moment when they get past the first set of night troopers and the death troopers are there. Her and Ezra both kind of get overwhelmed, and then she finally it's kind of a cliche thing, like oh, in the brink of like life or death, she finally uses the force and then so it paid out. But she kind of did the cool like turn the lightsaber on, turn it off thing that Kylo Ren does in Last
Yeah.
Jedi. So that was really cool. And then, of course, the big, like you mentioned before, the big force push at the end there was kind of like the big. I think that would have been the best moment to really show her using it for the first time because it's all based on the trust of another Jedi too. And of course, when she just puts that push into there, it really sold well. So yeah, those were all really amazing moments for me in a finale that was full of moments. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There. I mean, we could go on and on and on about all of like like the really fun, I guess, wrap up moments that we got in this, and really cool like wow moments and stuff. But I mean, this would be an hour long if we did because we basically just be talking about the finale and every other moment in the finale. But anyway, you want to get to some predictions?
Let's do it.
Awesome. All right, why don't you kick off predictions?
Okay, so we're setting up a lot, right? There's a lot. The episode wraps up with about 3 or 4 little like kind of like epilogue scenes that they kind of do at the end of the big action sequence. And but we all know we well, I think now we have a better idea that we're gonna get a season 2 out of this now that we know where everybody ends up. Of course, Thrawn gets away, but uh Ahsoka and Sabine are still stuck on on Peridia with Huyang too, I think. Yeah.
Yep.
So and then of course you have Shin Hati over there who's now leading the Raiders, which that's another question. It's like why didn't she go back to Thrawn?
Yeah.
At the end of after the end of the last battle. So that was, I guess she just kind of decided, hey, I'm gonna have power here again amongst these people. I'm gonna just do that. And then of course we have the big thing between Baylan, who we get the one shot of him at the end of this episode of him standing on top of the Mortis god statues. One thing I loved about that shot is the statue of the father and the son are up, but the daughter one was broken. The head was off of the daughter. But we do see the representation of the daughter in seeing the Morai with Ahsoka at the end of the episode too. So I think they're leaning in fully to going into the Mortis God stuff into season 2. I don't think they're going to do that in the movie just yet. We have Thrawn coming back to Dathomir with the Great Mothers, which is big in and of itself because we're going to get some live action Dathomir stuff later on, which is really cool. So it turns out that cargo was a bunch of dead like coffins. It looks like they're bringing back dead Night brothers and sisters to Dathomir to kind of like have this undead planet for Thrawn to kind of have like his empire, his own empire, basically his undead
Zombie
empire.
planet.
Yeah, yeah. Thrawn's got a zombie empire, which is pretty dope. But I also wonder how this relationship with the Great Mothers is going to lead to Thrawn's ultimate demise, essentially, because when we're talking about Morgan, he tells Morgan to stay back, basically sending her to her death, just after she just got ritualed into with the other Great Mothers. So that was, and then of course, when he decides to have them fire upon the fortress that they're leaving, there's a shot of the Great Mothers that kind of give him a look like, "Why are you doing that?"
Yeah.
And of course, so I think that there's going to be some stuff that's going to be coming back to bite Thrawn in the ass here eventually. That's going to lead to his eventual demise, and obviously explaining why he's not a big part of the sequel trilogy. Because if you're gonna, he would have been a big part of that if he was around. And it also kind of goes back to something that the Bendu said to him in Rebels when he said, I see your defeat with the many arms embracing you, and like in a cold embrace, I believe it was. So, he got wrapped around the tentacles of the Purgle, but I think they're maybe talking about some undead hands maybe going on there, maybe at the end of Thrawn. Yeah, it's going to be I think it could be a gruesome ending for Thrawn.
Yeah. I mean, there's never a good ending for the villains, so.
Well, yeah, but it will be sweet.
So yeah, I mean, there were so many things, and I gotta say this: like, I enjoyed having the resolve of the main kind of through line storyline of the series with Thrawn making it back, Ezra making it back, and stuff like that. But I did every once in a while look at my phone and go, "Where the hell is Baylan?" Like, I'm just like the entire time, like, there's 15 minutes left. I haven't seen him yet. And I'm like sitting there going, I just want to know what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it obviously by the shots at the end, like, we're opening it up for so much in a second season and having this line because I mean, they're all there still. Like, so obviously there's more to this other galaxy, this other planet in particular that they're all on. And that's probably going to be a big chunk of the next season is kind of, letting the events unfold, both with Ahsoka and Sabine and with Shin and with Baylan and just kind of, watching, I guess, these different groups and kind of figuring out how because eventually they're probably all going to have to come together or something's going to happen that's going to draw them all in together. Right. And they're going to have to make it back in. It is funny though. It was kind of like, I saw this posted online. It was, Thrawn did Uno reverse and everybody ended up in the opposite galaxy.
Just swap places. Yeah.
I found that really funny. I thought that was really funny. I did hear another quick theory that we're going to see Thrawn's kind of takeover of the outer rim of the galaxy that we know, basically, during some of the next season of Mandalorian to kind of progress that story so that,
he's got to make his presence known amongst the other properties.
Right. So that when it comes to the actual movie, like all of this stuff has already happened. Yeah. We don't have to waste that time in the movie type of thing to build it. So, because we have all of these other properties that have all interacted with each other already. So it's kind of setting up perfectly to kind of, have that looming threat kind of interact in all of these other properties type of thing coming forward. So.
Yeah, and rest in peace, Ray Stevenson, man, because that man put on a legendary performance, and it kind of sucks that it's kind of left open-ended on that because we won't get to see that through. So I think, of course, the obvious move will be having to recast, and I'm sure we can find a great actor to play him. But man, it's just going to feel like a little bit of a void there, knowing that he didn't get to see the reaction to the performance of how great he did in the series, but also he won't get to see this character through to its rightful end.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of praise for, just like you were saying, praise for his performance and stuff like that. And a couple of thoughts of recast because everybody wants the character to continue. I heard Gerard Butler, one person was saying that might be a decent recast type of thing to kind of try to, make it resemble the character as much as possible.
Maybe Sean Bean or something like that. That'd be kind of good. I would like that.
But yeah, I mean, this in both of a positive and a negative. I'm left with so many questions after this. And look, we don't know the full plan yet. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of other ends that we don't know yet that they've already started to work into the other properties that are building, like that'll be coming out in the meantime before, we get to a season 2 of Ahsoka and stuff like that. So I do trust like this season overall was awesome. We got so many things that were great. I don't think that this finale having a ton of questions, like, or leaving a lot of things open-ended, I don't look at that as making the season a negative in any sense of that. It's just like you said, like there's so many, like I wanted more, I guess, especially for what like Baylan's storyline and Shin's choice is a very odd thing. I don't know if they maybe just were like, well, just have her go over to the Raiders. Like, you know what I mean? Like it was kind of just a very out of thing for her. But overall, having these questions at the end of the season is awesome because it's going to do what I always say is one of my favorite things is where we, now we get to kind of theorize until we see this happen again. And we get to see, where all of these things are going to lead to and stuff like that. And I said, that's one of my favorite parts is kind of hearing everybody else's theories and going, holy shit, how awesome would it be if that happened? And this connects to that and that connects to this, stuff like that. So, we're in that time with at least with this kind of universe, galaxy, Star Wars.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Loki that we're gonna move right over to immediately if we're talking about new Disney run properties. But yeah, I'm excited for the future of this. Not only for season 2 of Ahsoka, but seeing Thrawn and maybe even Ezra and Hera pop up in Mandalorian or in.
I want Ezra to meet Luke.
Oh, that would be good too.
That's gotta happen. That better happen. Good. They're in the same galaxy now. Do it.
You're like just pushing the two toys together. Me.
Yeah, exactly. Please. They're the same age. They'll get along great.
But anyway, as we always say, that's what we think. Let us know in the comments below. What did you think of the season finale? And more importantly, what do you think is going to happen next? What is next for Thrawn? What property are we going to see him in next? And, what is his, takeover of this galaxy going to look like starting off? And as always, don't forget, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to hear about all of our latest audio and video podcast releases. Bye, everybody!
Popping Off presents That Recap Show.